Yeah. Yeah. All right. We are live on YouTube. We are live on YouTube. How's everyone doing today? How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode number 1261. That's right. Episode number 1261 of Navigating the Modern World with Eli. The Walking with Purpose live edition, live today from Red Morton Park. And today I have a very special show here. Today's show is about my wonderful, lovely lady Dawn. And that Dawn is one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And there she is. My lady was taking a nap. I didn't want to wake her. It's been a very productive day for the both of us. And, Dawn had an appointment earlier today. We went to that, ran some other errands, got some other things done around the house, and here we are. And I'm really happy that my lady woke up to be able to be here live. Now, sweetheart, you're a managing mod. Please feel free to even moderate standard moderators. Obviously, other managing moderators, you can't moderate them, obviously. But that's just, Dawn. Well, that's my lady Dawn. She's a managing moderator, and so is Sandra and Tia. The rest are standard mods, and then we've got the block words list and 60-second slow mode today for the non-moderators. But today, I want to talk about my lady Dawn and how she truly is and has been one of the best things that has happened to me. There's a lot of noise surrounding these YouTube streets. I mean, there's always going to be a lot of noise on YouTube. People trying to get attention, people massively spinning things out of context, people trying to keep their drama cycles going, right? It's all a bunch of noise. I may share a few thoughts about it on this stream, but quite frankly, the point is, my lady's an amazing person. She's been through a lot. She's experienced a lot. She has a wealth of knowledge. And she deserves to get this stream or any other stream to pay full respect to who she is. Especially when there are other people out here through some YouTube groups that are trying to, use my lady Dawn as their content engine right now because they can't get to me. Well, newsflash, you can't get to Dawn anymore either. Dawn's like Teflon strong. And her and I are both looking at what's going on, and all we're saying is, how desperate are these people to keep the narrative alive for their audience regarding the Eli thing, and now they've shifted off to Dawn, right? Thinking that that's going to spark up outrage or get reactions from Dawn and I, or get reactions from the rest of the people over here. And we're not reacting. We're actually laughing at the fact that you folks just can't contain yourselves. You have to continue to amp things up because you can't let go of the only thing that you ever accomplished out here is creating an audience around myself and us and recycling it to the same recycled audience, right? It's pretty, it's pretty, it is actually very comical at this point. It's extremely comical, and it's, yeah, it's comical. It really is. I'll tell you, Dawn has grounded me, and she's been a great balance to my life. Hey, Tia, how are you doing? Welcome, Tia. Welcome to the show. It's great to see you here. The chat's back on tonight. 60-second slow mode. Please, Tia, if other moderators or other people come in and they don't play nice, you know what to do. Hey, Tia, thank you for being here. Thank you for your continued support. You know, Dawn has grounded me, and Dawn has challenged me, and Dawn has made me a better man. Dawn and I have experienced a lot together throughout the first 4+, almost 4.5 years of being together and living together for 3+ of those years. And we're a great team. We support each other. We also have our moments. We're real people, and we're as real gets, right? And if people want to exploit us as part of their YouTube content, hey, to a certain extent, that's your First Amendment right. It's whatever, right? But at least, exploit us in the right ways, not in ways that are not true, or not in overreactive ways that don't make any sense besides keeping your audience engaged, right? The defendant in my circuit civil case is live right now. He went live a little bit ago. I was listening in for just a little bit, screen recording and listening in. And I'm not going to go into detail tonight. I may do a stream later on this weekend to kind of share more, because I want to be able to do my research and sit there and analyze things and think about things, because that's what's kept me grounded, is analyzing things so I don't overreact, and I just share the facts and do it in a cool, calm, and collected way to correct the record. But I sent the defendant an email today. I'm not going to go into detail. I'll go into detail probably tomorrow as much as I can. I'm not going to say the whole thing. Tomorrow or the next day, I may do a stream. Obviously, he took it out of context, because that's what he needs to do to keep his audience engaged, and that's to be expected. I already knew how he was going to react to this, especially publicly. He selectively read things. He said things out of context. He accused me of trying to silence his freedom of speech, in other words, right? And he said he can call my woman the B word, the female dog word. He can call my woman the B word, and that's protected First Amendment speech. Yes, it is, sir. That is protected First Amendment speech, to call my woman the B word, that signifies a female dog, right? Which she's not that, right? But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. A couple of things I want to talk about that, right? I mean, if it makes you feel good to call my lady the B word because you want to assert dominance and you want to assert that your First Amendment rights allow you to do that, then what kind of a human being does that make you? Maybe you don't care about that. Maybe your audience doesn't care about that, right? Because any normal, reasonable human being that would see someone behaving like you and calling another man's woman the B word repeatedly to prove that it's protected by the First Amendment is really a posturing type of play. It's really like an insecurity where you got nothing else and you got to flex that you have the right to heavily insult people on YouTube as your content. And when you have no substance or anything to talk about regarding the merits, you insult people, right? Right? What kind of a person does that make the defendant in my circuit civil case when he's flexing that I've got First Amendment rights and I can call your woman the B word as often as I want? He was calling her that, right? I mean, and then he's got a girlfriend too that's sitting there watching this, and that's something that she would technically not be okay with. But because it involves me and it's something he's doing, she'll just automatically support that, right? You see, here's the thing, defendant's internet girlfriend. No one is coming out here and calling you any insulting names or anything. All we're coming out here and saying is that how can you condone this type of behavior? That was somebody skidding on the bike. How can you condone this type of behavior when you try to act like a princess at other times? The behavior contradicts itself. So, in essence, in your eyes, man, in my opinion, what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander, right? Typically, the saying goes, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But in your eyes, what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander or is treated differently for the gander than the goose, right? You see how contradicting and hypocritical these people are when they're trying to frame a narrative to keep their audience alive and tethered to this, Eli story. And when Eli's not reacting or overreacting, they got to go and target his girlfriend, Dawn, right? These people spent all day today on one live stream. They spent all day. They were coming at my lady Dawn. And then there was another guy. I'm not going to mention his name because it's not even worth it. He did a short video that was shared on some people's community walls, endorsing it, right? So you endorse everything that person said, right, about my lady, right? I'll tell you, man, you made some threats in there to me, and I don't feel threatened by you, and I'm not going to respond negatively to you. I'm not going to accuse you of anything, but you did threaten me. And do you see me overreacting? Do you see me calling you out? Do you see me threatening to sue you? No. You know what? I actually feel sorry for you, sir. And I feel sorry for all of you that are so dysregulated. And you have to come out here on YouTube and stoop down to trying to attack a man's woman because you can't get to him to keep your content narrative alive and to keep yourselves regulated, right? I mean, that's what it boils down to. So why should I get upset? Why should I get upset? I'm not upset. You made a threat to me. You threatened me, and I don't feel threatened by it because I know you're trying to regulate. That's all. And you want to know something? By me being around so you can say things like that, it helps you regulate. So in essence, I'm actually helping you. In actuality, I'm helping many of you regulate because you're dysregulated based on your, observable behavior, in my opinion. Right? Of course. You're welcome. Yeah, absolutely, Tia. Absolutely. And and so, this entire group acting in concert with the defendant, and he knows it. He knows it's his group, and he knows they all talk behind the scenes through his Discord and others. And here's the thing, when we get to discovery, that's when things really start to unravel and unleash, right? Because that's when we're going to subpoena platforms and really see what's happening behind the scenes, right? Because that's going to be necessary to prove acting in concert, coordination, and all that type of stuff, right? We're not sitting here feeding into this nonsense garbage, right? They're going to continue to try to spin it because they have nothing else, right? What we're doing is we're handling this maturely and respectfully and professionally, right? Respectfully, maturely, and professionally, like my lady's YouTube username, her channel name, right? We're gathering evidence. We're preserving evidence. We're analyzing it deeply. We're staying cool, calm, and collected. And whatever is necessary to file and present in the court, that's what we're going to do, right? And that's what we're going to keep on doing, right? That's what we're going to keep on doing. And I'll tell you, I'm so proud of Dawn. Are you still around, babe? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me and see me, babe. And if you're still around. I'm so proud of Dawn. Thanks, babe. Like yesterday, Dawn and I had a conversation. It was so good, I'm going to share it. She'll be okay with it because it's good. But Dawn came to me. She was talking to me. And Dawn has always been the vice president of the GNA, second in charge. She's right alongside me, right? She's always been a GNA executive, a Genuine Networking Association executive. And I'm not saying that she wasn't always acting like an executive, but I told her yesterday, I said, for the first time, I'm really starting to see you really, really fall into your role and really, truly understand what the role of an executive is. I was just blown away. True story, you can ask her. I mean, trust me. If I'm lying, Dawn will tell you. Because Dawn wouldn't even cover for me. Which I don't want her to, because that's what keeps us in check and grounded. That's what we do for each other. That's why her and I work so well, right? As a team, as a couple, etc., right? What's going on over here? Oh, we've got a bobcat. Is that a bobcat? I think so. Anyway, she started to just come to me and acting like an executive with 20 years of experience. And I was like, God bless you. God bless you. Because we talk, she has seen so much. She realizes that there's so much noise out there in this world, including on YouTube. She has learned to filter out the noise, which is drama, right? She's learned to filter out the noise and focus on what's important, right? And that makes me really proud. Now, all we have to do here is instill those values. I'm not saying our other executives are not there. They are. But instill all those values. And Dawn's going to work with Tia and Sandra and ODN, the other GNA executives. And she's going to get them to the point of realizing what she's realized. I'm not saying that the other executives haven't somewhat realized it, but Dawn has clearly seen it. Right, babe? You're gonna work with Tia and Sandra, Tia, and ODN, right? And that's what a good vice president slash director of operations does, which is what Dawn is. She has been a great director of operations. She said, yep. Now, I want to make something very clear here, okay? You've got this one drama group of people led by the guy that's live right now that I'm suing, right? All they're doing is creating a bunch of noise. All he does is create a bunch of noise. His content is full of noise, like static on the old TVs, right? The old analog TVs, right? It's up to you folks whether you want to consume that content or let that content interfere with what you truly want regarding your experience out here on YouTube or regarding your experience here on our end. That's truly up to you. I mean, look, if you like a lot of noise and you like drama and you like all that, hey, by all means, have at it. We're choosing to withdraw from it. We're choosing to not be a part of it. And we've never been a part of it, but we're taking a stronger stance now. We're taking an even stronger stance now, right? And I'll tell you, most of you know that on top of the circuit civil case that's going on right now between the defendant and I, okay? Most of you know I've also filed a copyright claims board case. I filed it a few weeks ago on 2 pieces of content. Most of you also know over the last month and a half or so, I filed 5 copyright certificates on full pieces of content that the defendant rebroadcasted as a watch party in real time, commercially exploiting us, me particularly, and otherwise, right? And most of you have heard that eventually, later on this year, at some point, that at least part of these videos, part of these registered certificates, when they get registered and mailed out to me when I get them in the mail from the U.S. Copyright Office, part of that, or maybe all of the case, will be filed in a federal district copyright court. Because the defendant's behavior bleeds on both sides, in my opinion, and bleeds over. Right? Some of it falls into civil litigation, which is adjudicated in a state court, state civil circuit court, circuit civil. And then the other part is adjudicated by the federal court system because it's a U.S. copyright law that cannot be adjudicated at a state level. And I'm not going to say a whole lot. Oh boy, he's out again. Oh, buddy. I'm going to have to walk around. All right, we're good. I'm not going to say too much, but basically there's some good things happening regarding the copyright case situation. I know Tia's laughing, the dog is barking. There are some really amazing and great things that have fallen into my lap regarding the copyright case or future federal case, because more than likely the defendant's going to opt out of the Copyright Claims Board case. So, I may have to roll everything into the federal copyright case. That's how it's going to end up going. The defendant is somebody that, unless, and we'll talk more about this probably tomorrow. I may do a studio stream right here on GNA2 tomorrow to go into more detail regarding this. But the defendant clearly, unless he is held accountable in a court order, he is not willing to subdue his conduct. In essence, he was alluding to that on his live stream tonight, but he did respond to my email that I sent them earlier today, regarding preservation, regarding third-party rebroadcasting, and, narrowly tailored, conduct. In essence, I'm asking him to not participate in live streams that are intentionally violating my copyright watch party style. I am not, I repeat again, I am not trying to silence him like he was claiming on his stream. That's the only play he has. That's the only thing that keeps his audience alive. That's basically, his only legal weapon that he can assert. It doesn't mean it's going to fly in court, because there's lots of defamation and stuff. But my email to him had nothing to do with trying to silence him. He's talking about me right now. There's no problem with that. He talked about my lady Dawn, and even though he was very, very extremely insulting, it's First Amendment speech. So, how am I trying to silence him? Like, he's got nothing else to present his audience besides that narrative that, in this context, is not true. This is about conduct that he doesn't want to be held accountable for. This is about conduct that he needs to keep presenting to his audience in a way that I'm the villain and he's the victim, right? And it's quite the opposite, right? And most people are beginning to see the truth of the matter. And most people have walked away. Yeah, there's still some people that are always going to be invested. But the interest in the Eli content thing has definitely dipped, which is why they started coming at Dawn. And they made up all this stuff about Dawn. And, I found out something else that regarding, because I wasn't paying that close attention, I got it wrong. ODN was not playing the self-harm video that people were saying he played. He played, this is what I was told, that he played a video of the same person, or an audio of the same person that was just having a very reactive moment. But it was not the self-harm video. Now, I wasn't there if he actually played the video people were claiming that he played. But from what I was told, that wasn't the case. And, when Dawn went in and she was doing the laughing emojis, she thought it was somebody else. She thought it was actually a guy getting upset. She didn't even know who it was. Right? And so these people took that. They know that Dawn was not trying to attack a self-harm video, but they needed a story to present to their audience. They needed to frame it in that way to try to reignite. I've got people coming this way, so I'm going to go a different way. To try to reignite the Eli audience that's been slowly dissipating, right? And so that's what these people do is they take things out of context, they make things up, they make them sound more damning than they actually are, right? Right? They do live streams just saying like the most ridiculous things that I'm just going to laugh at, and so is Dawn. First of all, Dawn is my lady. She's my life partner, and no one can ever replace Dawn. And any other insinuations of things that people are assuming, they simply are not true. They're all for content, and that's how they were presented today. Oh, I don't know. I don't think Eli embezzled. I did not. That's not true. It's absolutely not true. And the best way to prove that is if we have to subpoena the former owner of the business and other people that work there in management and stuff, we can do that. You see, we can simply find the answer to that. But see, that's not the point. To these people, it's not the point. The point is what they can get their audience to believe to keep them around, right? That's what it boils down to. They know it, and I know it. See, the whole thing is this, is that the defendant in this case never thought someone would have the balls, tenacity, to, number one, sue him civilly over this, right? Number two, be able to afford an attorney, which I can't, so I don't have an attorney. Or C, be able to figure out how to file the case pro se, which I did, and here we are. And now he realizes that I'm a real litigator, right? And now he's going to have to answer to things that he thought he would never have to answer to, right? So now this is about trying to recreate the narrative in a way that's not only court friendly, but also YouTube narrative friendly. So he's trying to, present this in a way to where, he's good and safe on both ends, right? Now, Tia and Dawn, I know you're the only two here talking right now. Does that make sense to you? You see what I'm saying? Right? Now, to his audience, that, in my opinion, they are not the most regulated people on the planet, they can sit here and listen to me speak about this logically and make perfect sense. And even if they agree and it makes sense to them, they're in such a state of dysregulation, in my opinion, that they will never admit that I'm right, even though if deep down inside they know I'm right, because that's their outlet over there. They don't want to risk being removed from probably the only outlet that they think will accept them, and they don't realize that other people would accept them if they just were more decent people, right? More decent people that didn't spend their days going to support live streams that constantly lie about people as their content. It's just bizarre. It's just weird behavior. It's basically a bunch of grown adults that are trying to regulate in real time, and they need Don and I as their regulators, right? That's the best way I can put it. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to teach a lesson here. I'm trying to basically paint the Picasso in an easy to digest way for people to understand that this is all just a game to them for content, right? Because they don't feel confident that they can create regular real content to get them the same results, right? But at the same time, the drama content allows them to self-soothe, like I've said before. It allows them to feel a temporary moment of regulation, because when they talk all that nonsense about Don and I, they feel it gives them some kind of power or force above us, and it's like, we're coming out here and telling you publicly live that it doesn't affect us at all. Is it wrong? And is it something that needs to be stopped? Yeah, it's not currently affecting us. It affects us overall, algorithmically and otherwise. There are legal ways it affects us, but we're coming here and being strong, and it's not affecting us to the point of where we're going to react. We're not going to react. We're going to keep it cool, calm, and collected, and we're going to handle this in the proper channels. YouTube platform enforcement, Rumble platform enforcement, and then the court of law, circuit civil, and also federal copyright court. Right? That's how we're going to handle it, right? And I appreciate the 16 people that are here. I know there are probably more watching the drama show over there because, I guess apparently the guy is playing, older videos of mine where I used to have long intros. Because I said recently your intros are still long, and that's why, it's people don't want to wait around that long. Yeah, I used to have long intros. I haven't done that in like 3 or 4 years. I made the change, but he wants to go back and just talk about things that actually were working back then. Back then, long intros were in. They changed about 3 or 4 years ago, and I changed along with that. But he wants to make content out of that. And then he also, I guess he was starting to go over some of my recent streams, and he's trying to spin the opposite narrative to keep his audience preserved, right? To keep them active, right? Yeah. I'm glad I put my gloves on. It's like low 50s right now. Don, Tia, can you please put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me and see me? I'll ask you one more here in a second, but this is the beginning of the bad reception area until I get over here. My lady says 1. Tia says 1. Okay, we seem to be rolling okay tonight. And here's the thing. We got 17 people here. It's not a whole lot. It's okay. 17 more people than 0, right? 2 of them are active. That's okay. You know what that's telling me? That's telling me that we have filtered out the drama people from over here. The drama people don't come here anymore. There's not as much trolling here because they know they're going to get zapped, and it doesn't make sense to do so. But I also think a lot of the trolls realize this whole thing has been played out, right? And it's quite obvious that the defendant is having difficulty trying to disengage, right? You cannot go and have a reasonable conversation with the defendant and ask him to stop doing some things, right? Like most people, you can reach out and say, hey, man, come on. Please, don't do this, don't do that. With this defendant guy, you tell him not to do something, it triggers some kind of trauma of where he's been shut down before, in my opinion. This is what I think happened, to the point of where if you try to tell him to not do something, he will basically continue to do it just to, assert dominance and to assert that no one can tell me what to do. No one can tell me what to do, right? Well, you know what? You're right about that primarily, except the court of law can tell you what to do, and you yourself, sir, responded in your email and said on your stream that when it comes to conduct, only the court of law. You will only listen to the court of law. So in essence, sir, you're saying instead of proactively being a good human being, you're going to continue to do things that most people like me would think are erratic and irresponsible and are harassing and defamatory until the court of law boom, boom, hits the gavel and says judgment for the plaintiff, right? I mean, what kind of a person does that make you, sir? Don't you want to proactively do the right thing? It seems like to me, sir, you want to keep, in my opinion, you want to keep doing things that most people would see as wrong until a court of law orders you to stop, right? You can't order yourself to stop, sir. You can't self-regulate to be able to stop doing things that most people would see as unnecessary or harmful or ridiculous or anything like that, right? I mean, that's the that's the real kicker for me. The real kicker for me is the fact that you can't independently on your own do the right thing for the better good of everyone. You only do things, in my opinion, that benefit you. Even if there's something, they are something that, even if those things are something that most people wouldn't do because it basically rides lines. You see, sir, here's the thing. You have learned to ride the First Amendment line right up to the line. You know it. You ride it up to the line because your content is dependent on it, right? Your content is dependent on living and dying by the First Amendment and then fair use and all that, right? Fair use and the First Amendment. You are like a ride or die on those, right? Okay? And that's why you're in court, because people like you are not going to reasonably negotiate a dispute out of court. And there's your answer to those people that say, oh, let's mediate this and let's go through mediation. No, mediation is not possible with him, and you all know that, right? Mediation is not possible. If mediation was possible, we wouldn't even be in court. We could have handled this like two gentlemen would. See, I prefer to handle things like two gentlemen would handle them, right? I've tried to do the gentleman handshake with this defendant many times. And every time he's basically told me to shove it up my you-know-what. It's my First Amendment right. It's fair use, right? You know what? All this guy does is lives behind some fictitious shields that fair use laws and First Amendment laws are absolute. And they're not absolute. No law is absolute. The First Amendment is not absolute. The First Amendment has exceptions like defamation and harassment, right? And fair use has 4 factors, right? There's 4 factors that you have to take into consideration for fair use, right? It's not absolute. The defendant likes to lead people to believe that fair use and First Amendment rights are absolute. If that were the case, there would be no need for the law. So, sir, why would the law exist for First Amendment rights if they were absolute? There'd be no need to go to court for defamation because then defamation wouldn't exist, right? You're trying to act like these laws are absolute. They're not absolute, okay? And the same thing with fair use. It's not absolute. Just because you say you do commentary doesn't mean it's fair use. That's one factor of 4. The amount and substantiality matters, right? If you're commercially exploiting it, it matters. There are a lot of things that matter, and you know they matter, but you've never been held accountable at this level before, right? And in the meantime, even though now you're being held accountable by me, you're going to posture to your audience like you always have that these rights are absolute. It's all fair use. It's all, freedom of speech, protected, right? Right? Well, hey, we'll see what happens in court. So far, um, so far you're trying to make it seem like you've won all of these situations, and nobody's won anything. But whoa, I almost lost it there. Excuse me. I wasn't paying attention. I caught myself. Ooh. Be careful, baby. That was my Friday the 13th trip. Whew, that's all good. You see, I have good balance to where I hit an uneven point. If I start to lose my balance, I know how to regain it, even holding a selfie stick. That's fantastic. Hey, I'm pretty proud of myself. I've taught myself how to balance myself even when I'm losing my balance. Anyway. So yeah, I'll tell you, the most, the saddest part of this whole thing, right? Saddest part of this whole thing is I really, really think that the defendant is reacting in ways, and like I said earlier, when he was calling my woman the B word, he called my woman the B word repetitively, which is harassment. You see, sir, here's the thing. It's one thing to say under your First Amendment protected speech, calling my lady the B word is protected. You're right, it is protected, but if you continue to repeat it ongoing, even on stream, over and over again, then that becomes harassment. That shows a pattern of harassment, right? So, look. Do what you got to do, and all we're going to do is continue to ignore the nonsense. Maybe, share some thoughts about it. Like today I wanted to do a stream to show my lady how much she means to me and how she's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And if you want to critique that, anyone from that group, which, hey, whatever, right? All that's going to do is eventually get you all removed from YouTube. You folks realize that the content you folks are creating, you realize you're all starting to get at least age restricted based on community guidelines. You're being removed from the YouTube partner program, and soon your channels are going to start to be hit and removed. And guess what? You're all tied into the same ecosystem. When you're all tied into the same ecosystem, YouTube is looking at all of your channels, right? And let me just make this very clear. This is just a lesson to teach anyone on how to properly flag things so YouTube knows, right? You don't think our people and other people outside your group don't know how to timestamp and flag specific phrases or words that will immediately take a YouTube human reviewer right to that section, right? Here's the thing. You can have your party. You can talk all the smack you want about myself, my girlfriend, Dawn. You can keep on amping up the harassment, and guess what? You're going to be removed for harassment and bullying. Cyberbullying and harassment, right? Else, I'll say this, sir. In my opinion, this is my opinion. In my opinion, Mr. Defendant, you're a cyberbully. You really are. Put a 1 in the chat if your opinion of the defendant is similar to mine, that he is a cyberbully. He is. Right? That's what you are, sir. And honestly, do I think you want to be that? No, I think that's your way that you self-regulate over, in my opinion, unresolved issues from your past. You have unresolved issues. Tia says 1. And his response is going to be, so what? I'm a cyberbully. That's all you do, man. You copycat people. Like when you can't speak on the merits, all you do is insult and mock and do parody. Like you shield. This is what this guy does. He shields his irregularities through parody. Like, in order to regulate from being unhappy and miserable, in my opinion, deep within, right? He shields that through parody and tries to make it appear like everything's all hunky-dory, and it's really not, man. It's really obvious to me, and this is just my opinion regarding observable behavior, which I'm going to state my observable behavior. I think this guy is now 40 years old, and he's not really happy where he's at. He might have some money saved up, right? All right. There's a car that's stopping right there. I think they have a flat tire. That didn't sound too good. That sounded like a flat tire, or the car was dying or something. Anyway, I think that car is trying to pull into a spot over there, out of the way, riding it on the rim, which initially that's somewhat okay as long as there's rubber on top of the rim. But you're not supposed to do it for too long, because that can really mess up your rim. Get the car to safety, call AAA, or if you know how to change your own flat, change your own flat. But every car nowadays has a donut spare. It's not a full-size spare like we used to have in those big tanks back in the days. You put your donut on, and then the next day you go and replace that tire. And man, tires are so damn expensive nowadays. Like, even an entry-level cheap tire, you can't even get a tire typically under $100 anymore. And even tires that are $100 are really cheap. They're not the best quality, right? You're looking at like around $175 to $300 for one tire. Some of them are more. But the average decent tire is going to cost you around $200 to $250 a piece, plus mounting and balancing and all that. And I believe Costco can still do it at a decent price. But it's going to still, even at Costco, it's still going to probably cost you around $700, $800, and other places over $1,000 to get 4 tires changed. One tire, you're probably looking at about $300 to $400. Tire and labor and mounting and balancing and all that stuff, alignment, all that stuff, man. Gosh, you got to take care of your car. Man, I've been taking really good care of my car. Get the oil changes done. I drive it nice. I rotate the tires when necessary. Hey, Lewis, how you doing? Welcome. Baby, if you have a quote, please start to get it ready and get it in the chat. And yeah, babe, I will be calling you briefly because we got to figure out some other things. I'll call you right when I'm off the air. How's it been, Lewis? I'm so sorry the chat's been off a little bit lately. I've turned it off just to avoid chaos when I need to just focus on talking. But I've got to say, I really appreciate how respectful the chat has been here tonight. I know it's just been Tia. It's been Don and Tia and now Lewis. But you know what? That's okay. I would rather have 3 solid people in the chat than 100 people that are just overreacting and looking to feed another drama cycle. And that's not what we are over here, you know. And I love how calm this is. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. I love how calm this is, right? And just keeping this calm, it's going to start to really radiate into um, the right people's heads, and then they're going to come over here if and when they're ready, right? All in due time. You know, just like I've always said, and everyone else says, the wheels of justice turn slowly. And when you're trying to build something really good and sustainable that's not fueled by outrage and drama, right? It takes a lot longer. You know, slow and steady wins the race. Drama cycles are instant dopamine and they take off, but they have a limited shelf life. If you want to create something sustainable long term, it's slow and steady. And sometimes it's painfully slow, but you know what? You learn to even work through the pain, right? Pain management, right? Even emotional pain, right? Even growing pains, right? We used to have a show called Growing Pains. I'm sure Don and Tia remember it. Maybe Lewis remembers it too. That was with Alan Thicke, right, baby? The father of Robin Thicke, right? Play a lot of yeah, there's a lot going on, Lewis. Yeah, you're right, man. There's a lot going on, and I'm just taking it one step at a time, and I'm just staying out of drama as much as possible, you know, completely lately. I haven't just, like, I even, you know, there are people on our end here that I love. I just haven't even gone to watch their streams because it's not that what they're talking about is wrong. The way they're doing it is wrong. Like, listen, you know, even if somebody is doing wrong stuff and you want to call them out, you know, there's a right and a wrong way to do it. And if all you're doing is insulting them because they're insulting you, that's not the right way. All you're doing is continuing the cycle. And in essence, you're giving them more of what they want. Like, you know, if I'm going to speak a couple things, let me talk about you, Mr. Flex. I have a lot of respect for you, man. I don't think you're a bad guy, but you continue to talk about that woman, right? And what you're saying about her isn't necessarily not true. Some of the things you guys are saying are not true, which that needs to stop because that could be defamatory. But the things that you're saying that are true, right? You simply responding to her. She doesn't care. She's also demonetized now. And I knew it. She left her stream public on YouTube today because she's not monetized. So she's like, okay, well, if this channel gets shut down, now it's no longer monetized. I'll just start another one. That's the thought process of these people, right? Even if you try to enforce them, they don't care about the YouTube partner program like I do, right? And they don't care about YouTube, and they don't see it as a business. They see it as a place to play their games and make a little money. And if they get platform enforced, they'll just start another channel, even though they're not supposed to, right? I really think that the best thing to do, and I'll say this, GLM, I'm going to pay you some credit. I'll pay you some credit here. I really have seen you tone things down, and I'm proud of you for that. Because I know how hard it is to, stay regulated when you're dealing with these people. We all have difficulty staying regulated when dealing with these people that are intentionally trying to antagonize us as their content engine, right? But I even think GLN's beginning to realize that why keep doing what I'm doing? Yeah, she's still probably doing it every now and then. I haven't paid that much attention. I've kind of stepped away from going to those streams, not because I don't like the creators. I like GLM, I like ODN, and they're all still mods here. They're welcome here. I just don't want to. I don't want to be a part of stupid drama, right? I don't need drama to regulate me. And one of the lessons I want to teach here to people is that if you're using YouTube drama and YouTube drama groups and YouTube drama cycles to stay regulated, then honestly, you need more help than I can give you. You need to get some professional help, in my opinion. And I say this respectfully, right? Because the people even on our end that are trying to supposedly do the right thing, right? You guys are also pushing the boundaries. You guys have also been removed from the YouTube Partner Program, and you've had your channels removed. And that speaks for itself. And the thing is, to the people on our end over here that we like, you allowed those people to do that to you. You were in full control, and you allowed those people to do that to you, right? You see, I've never allowed those people to get to me to the point of where I get removed from the partner program, or I get removed completely off of YouTube, right? I don't put myself in a position to where YouTube can even platform enforce me. Now, every now and then something slips, right? Sometimes the most honest thing can be picked up by AI and you get the wrong reviewer. And, for the first time ever, like 4 months ago, a little over 4 months ago, I got a community guideline warning. I got one once before, but I appealed it, and immediately it was reversed. It was an AI error. But this one, I appealed and lost. And I can't even say what it is over, because then I don't want to get flagged down again by the AI. It was stupid, but hey, I realized, got to be even tighter. But, I did the course, and then, 3 months after it expired towards the end of January, and the channel's fully clean now. You see, I take that seriously, and I'm the kind of person that's proactive by understanding the consequences, of my actions. And that's something that some groups, like drama groups, I think they understand the consequences of their actions, but they also realize if they don't do certain things, they're not going to get the audience or make the money, right? So for them, it's about trying to push things to the line with YouTube platform enforcement and the legal line to run their channels or business or drama business or whatever, right? And whenever people constantly push things to the line with YouTube and legally, eventually they get burned, right? And that's what you're seeing happen right now. I'm just saying, look, there are people that ride the line, up to the line, and even sometimes even a little bit cross the line is still crossing the line, right? People that know where the line is at and live by the line or slightly above the line, they can get away with things for a while, but eventually it all comes back to bite them in the you-know-what, right? That's the truth of the matter. And that's all. My lady's quote It's almost, respectfully, maturely, and professionally, Don says, it's almost comical how rare it's become. Pausing to appreciate the good people in our lives and expressing real gratitude through how we live. One more time. Respectfully, maturely, and professionally, Don's quote again is, it's almost comical how rare it's become. Pausing to appreciate the good people in our lives and expressing real gratitude through how we live. You're right, babe. And the reason is, you know it. We've been really learning a lot more about it over the last year plus by watching Chris Cuomo on News Nation, his show Cuomo, where he constantly says the same thing I'm saying. Outrage sells, right? It's about the outrage. It's creating outrage on the internet. That's all the defendant is doing here on YouTube and his entire group. They create or try to create constant outrage narratives, right? To fuel their audience and keep them around and keep the pipeline going, right? For attention, validation, donations, self-soothing, right? Etc., right? TS says, hashtag facts. What about what I just said? Oh, being a YouTuber takes time, patience, and a lot of hard work. You're right. I got news for you. YouTube is not easy. You're right. You're right, Lewis. And yes, facts. Absolutely, Tia. Got a lot of love for all of you. You are all wonderful people. You know, I'll wrap up by saying this. You know, sometimes when I end these streams and the defendant is going live at the same time and I know he's talking about me, I'll listen to a bit of his show if I'm running an errand afterwards before I go home or on my way home. I don't feel the need to listen to it. I'm not going to listen to it. I'm going to save my time and energy, and I'm not going to let this get to me. And it's not getting to me anyway. Like, I'm not even curious enough to hear what he's saying because it's just a broken record, right? Tomorrow I'll get up. I'll get the transcript. I'll run it through ChatGPT, see if there's anything important. I'll do that in 5 to 10 minutes and just save the time, spare me the emotional energy and all that, and invest that into my lady. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Tomorrow, Dawn and I are going to have a nice dinner that she wants to have. I'm not going to say where we're going to get it because these people like to play jokes, right? But tomorrow is Valentine's Day. And, you know, to all you guys out there, do something nice for your ladies. Be there for them. Treat them nice, right? Understand, you know, what ladies go through and understand who they are. Understand that ladies are biologically different than men, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way that God made us to be, right? And just try to be a little more understanding. You know, I've been really working hard to be even more understanding to Dawn's emotions, wants, and needs, right? Because let me tell you something. Every single guy, including myself, has complained in the past about women and said, I don't fucking understand what she's saying. I don't get it. Why is she whining? Why is she crying? Why is she getting all emotional, right? It makes no sense, right? It may not make sense to us guys, but it makes sense to them. And what matters is that it makes sense to them because women have a different language than men. You guys have to learn to understand that. And I hope more and more people come around so together we can learn to understand men, women, and all different types of personalities and just learn to better get along. That's all, you know. That's all. Have a lot of love for all of you. You're amazing, all of you. Don, my love, I love you. You're one of the best things that's ever happened to me. I say that wholeheartedly. I don't care who clips that. As a matter of fact, I hope they clip that because I want that to go viral because it deserves to go viral. It deserves to go viral, you know. I did a lot today. I don't even know if I'm physically exhausted. I think I'm more emotionally exhausted just from all the work I've done. And just, I'm processing everything and trying to keep things grounded. And it's not easy, folks, even for the best of us. It's not easy. But just take it one step at a time. Take it one step at a time and think twice or three times before you say or do something. Take other people's feelings into consideration, right? Take other people's feelings, wants, and needs into consideration. Treat others the way you'd want to be treated. I'm going to keep emphasizing that until things get better, hopefully. One can only hope. I pray to God. With that being said, have a good one. Take care. Good night, all, says Tia. Thank you, Eli. You're very welcome, babe. I'll be calling you in a few. Have a good one. Take care. And as always, be good to each other. See you all tomorrow. Good night, everyone.